Hello, I'm Rick Steiner. Welcome to Lux Life Discovered. We are in for a great treat today because a captain's log is for every Star Trek fan. This is the podcast for you. Our guests today are Bryan, who is the executive producer of A Captain's Log. We have Lilli Fox Lim, who is also one of the hosts for the show, and then their creative consultant is John Adams. So welcome all three of you to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Well, this is going to be interesting because once I received your media kit, I was looking through everything. Um, First of all, where does your love for Star Trek begin? Because you have to really have that love for it, and I'm just amazed, you know, what all you've done with your idea.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Star Trek means so much to me, and I know it means different things to other people, but just having a world where people, whoever they are, whatever they look like, whatever gender they are, whatever race or species they are, they can contribute something to the whole, to the greater good of not just humanity, but also welcoming other species into the existence and into a greater good. Star Trek has so many different plays of ethics, morals, values, philosophy, and it all has meaning. It's not just an action-packed Star Wars like shoot 'em up, pew 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 thing. It is a moral story each and every week, and that type of story really hits your heart and really hits home. And it's something that hit me at a young age when I was a teenager, and it's just blossomed over the 59, almost 60 years now that it's been around. I'm not that old, but sometimes I feel like it's since it's been on for so long, it's
Like,
like
well, you've aged well. No, I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
It predates me, and I think it'll be around after us as well. So that's my take on it,
Yeah.
Rick.
So, Lily, how did you get involved?
Yeah, I started watching Star Trek in high school, and I kind of for the same reasons that BK loves it. I love that it's a world where people are all trying to work together to make more good in the universe, and they're any type of person, species, like other different. It's just like there's nothing really like that. That's sci-fi where the world that they imagined is actually where people are still trying to do good, kind of.
Right.
And I also love every episode is sort of it has a an end and then restarts. Actually, only classic Trek was like that, where it's sort of like a sitcom in that it restarts itself every time, where you don't really need to have seen the previous episode to know what's going on. I love shows like that, sitcoms and Star Trek. And also, it's just so philosophical. Every episode is teaching us something or showing us something that I think they got away with in the 60s because it was hidden under like aliens and makeup and things,
Yeah.
but they could talk about race and gender and all of these things that are really important social issues. So I love that it can do that, and it's so versatile.
All right. And then, John, you're the creative consultant. So,
Mm.
how do you tie in with bringing their vision to life and to bringing it all to the screen?
Thank you. Well, I had done Star Trek artwork for a couple of years, and Bryan reached out and wanted to do an interview with me for their show, and I was, thrilled because I love the show. It has a huge audience, and it's getting bigger every year, and it's an established show.
Right.
And that's one thing, it's not a podcast. It is a television show. So it's on 34 national channels, and then there's a dedicated YouTube channel for the episodes after they've aired on television first.
Okay.
So it had such a big market. I was really interested in what they were doing. So when Bryan interviewed me, we realized pretty quickly that we both have a deep love of Star Trek and a lot of knowledge. You know, the show goes back so far. If the big fans, know the minutia, of Star Trek. And Bryan and I are kind of like that. And he reached out after the interview because we had hit it off, and uh, he asked if I would supply some art for episodes coming up, which was another thrill. I did. And then he asked if I'd like to come on board and, help with questions or help, brainstorm on things, or even if we both weren't sure about a Star Trek fact, we can check with each other first before you have to start digging. So that's how that came about. It's been great. And I've only been with them a couple of months.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's a real thrill. It's really fun.
And
I'm
what a
loving
fun project to use your creativity and your talent on.
it. Yeah.
That would be exciting.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
So Bryan, how has the response been from like the Trekkies that have been with them from the beginning, and it's been well received, hasn't it?
It has been very well received. Yeah, there are a lot of feedback that we'll get through email, sometimes on social media. Uh, I think just knowing and having that Star Trek knowledge, like John said, that come across to fans, because Lilli knows Star Trek really, really well, and we make the episodes interesting, and we establish ourselves with knowledge ahead of the interviews, because almost all of our episodes are interview based, and the fans seem to really like it. They comment on our videos sometimes, or we'll get emails, but I think really getting down to the nitty gritty with someone that has never been interviewed before, that it's rarely been interviewed, is kind of what our bread and butter is we'll
Right.
interview crew or stunt people or stand-ins or somebody that John was able to establish an interview for us just recently is Emily, who is on Star Trek Strange New Worlds doing props. She's making props and getting down to like maybe a 4 or 5 second close-up shot, but she put so much work and detail
Right.
into that prop. And that's so important to Star Trek because not only do Star Trek fans know what continuity is from series to series or film to film, but it just makes it seem like it sets the tone for something that is out of this world. It's something that is different than what you pick up like a cell phone. It's got to look futuristic, sophisticated, and interesting from a visual aspect. And those are the type of people that we get to talk to each and every week. So I think our fans enjoy that type of talking point and energy because, they've heard the main stars before, and we do
Right.
interview some of the main stars, but that's kind of what sets us apart with other shows.
Well, sure, and they're dedicated, loyal followers. So that attention to detail is very impressive to them, and they get to see more of behind the scenes, and that speaks volumes. So, what who was a guest that you've had on? You have to mention a name, but from the show that had a huge part that is probably the most overlooked.
Well, I
That
guess
there's probably several, yeah.
I can throw that over to Lilli because it's funny. Lilli and I were talking behind the scenes last year, and our producer Dustin Serrano asked us, "Who are your favorite guests?" Remember this, Lilli? And out of the 10, we had like 8 or 9 were all the same. We're like, "These are our
Oh,
favorite
really?
guests," right?
That's great.
So
Yeah.
I think I know who she's going to mention because I'm
Okay.
in complete agreement with her on this person being our guest. So
I
Lilli,
was
Right.
just gonna say
let me
someone
hand
you're
that one
like,
over.
no, that's not.
I
Yeah.
I think we're gonna say the same person, but I'm gonna say Mark Okrand, who is the creator of the Klingon language. We got to interview him and really like talk about I love languages. I was really like starry-eyed while we were doing that interview. So it was really fun. And it's just like getting into the work that every person, because we love like production too, TV production and film production, and seeing the amount of work that every person puts into one episode of Star Trek is incredible. It's like that's what makes the show so awesome, is like every person's hours and hard work put into the small detail on the little prop.
Now, do you and Bryan ever speak Klingon to each other?
She does. She
He
speaks
does.
Klingon. In fact, when we had Mark Okrand on as the guest, she popped up the Klingon dictionary, and Mark was like, He's like, you have it. It was so neat to be able to see someone who created the largest fictional language on the planet. Seriously,
So
Klingon. You can
interesting.
go to Duolingo and these companies that like offer language learning, and Klingon is offered because there's a
Really?
syntax, there's a dictionary. Yeah, it was developed for Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock back in 1984, and it's grown into conversational Klingon. He has all these books and ways that
Wow.
you can learn that syntax. And Lily's right. It was an amazing interview we had
Oh,
with Mark.
I bet. And so where do you see this going? Because this is huge. And like we mentioned earlier, the base for the Star Trek, the followers are so loyal. And I mean, this is really phenomenon that it's lasted this long and not just lasted this long, but the interest is still so relevant.
Oh, it is. Like there's several Star Trek shows that are already being planned in the future. With Tawny Newsome has a comedy coming out that she's co-creating with another individual, and then there's Star Trek Starfleet Academy coming out that they're shooting in Canada. There's a whole bunch, and then Mike Scott Bakula it might possibly be doing a new Star Trek type of enterprise spinoff where he's the president of the United Federation of Planets called Star Trek United, and that's all in the future. That hasn't even been made yet.
Right.
And then we have all the stuff that's currently running right now, like Strange New Worlds, and then in the past you had Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Captain Kirk and Spock on the Enterprise. Um, but let me kind of hand it over to John because John has been hooking us up with so many interviews with people on Star Trek Strange New Worlds right now. Like, I can't wait to update the IMDb page and show Lily, like, look at all the momentum that we're making in pre-production before you and I, Lily, get to go into production and interview these people on the camera. Like, what?
Yeah, I'm so excited to see. I feel like you have really, really cool guests stacked for this next season.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
John is coming in handy then.
Yeah. See, it wasn't a huge mistake after all,
I did not say that.
Hey,
No,
I'll
but
tell
John,
you
that has
what,
to
it
be
is
fun from
exciting if
your
you.
aspect to be able to contact the people and make the connections. That has to be exciting. Yeah.
It's thrilling, and I didn't know when you were asking what's in the future for the Star Trek franchise or for our show, uh, because both are growing
Hmm.
and both are changing a little bit. Just getting a different tone. I'm so excited. We're in season 5 now of the
Right.
show, which in and of itself, I think is miraculous in this day and age.
Right.
And that's, due to Bryan and Lilli. I mean, it just is. I mean, there would be no other way. They've gotten such incredible people on the show and have kept the show relevant and interesting to people. And yeah, next season, we've been fortunate. We've gotten at least 18 people so far, most of which are from Strange New Worlds. And that's kind of new for the show in that, it's not just looking back. Now we're actually seeing the people that are creating the show right now and how that's different from it was in the past, and also how it's so similar, you know.
Right.
And so that is really exciting to have all of these current directors, creatives that are going to be on the show because they are bringing new energy and new perspectives to the franchise. And we're thrilled that we're going to be able to talk to a large chunk of these people that are in the process of creating Star Trek right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And they enjoy being interviewed too, because usually it's the main stars that get all the attention and the recognition. But like Brian had mentioned earlier, the details like the props and the Klingon origination, that's huge because that is the success of the show.
Any production, including your production, it takes a village, so to speak,
Right.
it does. And it's thrilling for me because I love any type of person who has a passion about anything. And that's kind of your show, right? I mean,
Right.
and so we're interviewing people that have dedicated their lives to what they're doing, first of all,
Sure.
with very little recognition and often not very much pay and brutal hours, really brutal hours. And they are so passionate about that, what they do, and they have so many stories to tell. They're there all the time. They know everything that's happening on the show. So it's really exciting, to talk to any kind of creative person. I want them to have just as much exposure as anybody else
Right,
because
because they
they
put
all make
hours
it
and
work.
hours in. They're not just showing up for hair and makeup and being on screen and then leaving. They're with it 24/7. That's their life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing about the future of our show, if I just wanted to add, kind of exciting, we're working on a spin-off series, or more BK is, called Icons, which is a spin through all of sci-fi series. And you want to talk more about that, BK?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Lily. That is a great idea because we know that sci-fi is not just encompassing Star Trek. Like it encompasses so many iconic franchises. Like, I mean, Star Trek does lead the way, right? But you've got Aliens, you got Star Wars, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, like all these household names, X-Files, the list goes on and on. Blade Runner, so many cool franchises, and we've been able to interview people like that on another spinoff show that's still in pre-production right now. That we're going to do some crossovers and have Lilli on too from A Captain's Log, and it brings in different aspects, I think, in a different type of feel, but still kind of bringing in those edgy interviews like A Captain's Log, where we get to talk to crew. Or I just interviewed an editor that was on Blade Runner back in 1982, and she was also a part of the brand new like remastered version where they brought in a director's cut and just made it even more amazing. And she's worked with so many different people in the industry, and it's fascinating to hear her type of story and evolution on how that just single film from Ridley Scott was like so innovative at the time back in 1982, and how it showed Los Angeles in a different way, but in a futuristic way, and how humanity has changed and adapt to the elements, on how like they can upgrade it too, with HD and a clearer and cleaner picture. So those interviews are the type of things that are bread and butter that people just don't get to hear or don't get to listen to all the time. They're always interviewing the amazing people like Ridley Scott or Harrison Ford or
Right.
Edgar Olmos, like all the people that are cast. So that's our bread and butter, and we're sticking to it, not just with the captain's log, but with icons.
No, that's good. And when you think about Star Trek too, and like it being 60 years in the running, you think, well, what more can be done with that? Sometimes that thought could come to mind. But just talking with you guys, there's so many possibilities. Well, it already is from different spin-offs from it, but still, it's just really unlimited because imagination you can bring into a whole new concept that's never been done before, and introduce that concept, which ties back to the Star Trek originally. But still, there are plenty of ways to go with this.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so
Let's
many. They just made or you talked about Tawny Newsome making a comedy, BK, but they actually just made I would call it their first comedy, which was an animated show called Lower Decks. And I loved that, and I feel like it's a new gateway for people to be in Star Trek lore if you don't necessarily like sci-fi, because it's also funny. It's just like it's a good show, and it's animated. So if you're like into animation, maybe that's the show for you. And I just love that we're branching out into all the different. It's like Star Trek is now the genre, and all the other things are like little branch offs,
Right.
which is just really cool. You're right. As you were saying, it's infinite possibilities for Star
And
Trek.
then you enjoy the acting aspect of it as well.
Oh yes. You mean to
So
watch or to be or to do?
yeah, well, you get to act as well, though, right?
Oh, we act on our
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
We've done some mirror universe episodes where we our mirror universe counterparts came and has that aired yet?
That did hear, yes.
Oh,
Yeah, we can talk about it. You
Right.
did hear
It's like,
Lily.
whoops, hey, John, take that out. No, I'm just kidding.
That was fun playing our counterparts, wasn't it, Lily? Like sinister, and the way that Lily had her hair and just like this look on her face, looking at herself on a view screen was just like, and then she like fires a phaser at us and almost kills us through the view screen. It's fun to be able to act out these parts, but it had a play. It wasn't just a play on words or hey, we're going to do a little acting on the show.
Yeah,
On our
yeah.
talk show, it was like the person we were interviewing was Nana Visitor, who, in my opinion, even though going back to Kirk and Spock in the original series on the Mirror Mirror episode, Nana Visitor, who played the Intendant, was probably like the
Oh,
coolest
really?
Mirror Universe character ever. Like she was a completely different person, sinister because she's a sweet person. Like Nana, even coming across as Major Kira, you can see she has two different sides of her personality. She's got like a sweet side, but then she has that very kind of in a good way. It's hard to say terrorist in a good way, but she's a Bajoran terrorist.
She's a
That,
great
that,
terrorist,
that
man.
personality
She's
she's
great.
kept hidden for all these years, huh?
Yes.
Just
Should
looking
should
Yeah.
for the
we
opportunity to release that, and here it is. So yeah,
Yeah.
should we clarify for the viewers because they may not know what we're talking about when it comes to a mirror universe. See, in Star Trek, you have all your heroes on the show, and they got a transporter accident and they ended up switching with their counterparts in like an evil universe. So the actors all get to play like an evil version of themselves when they're in these mirror episodes. And so I just want to clarify that so you know
yeah.
exactly what we're talking about. So that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, how did you guys get connected with 38 TV? Because that's been a great connection for you as well.
No, thanks for asking. Paul Vizard is like awesome, and now to meet your producer John is super super cool. I know there's a lot of good people behind 38 TV. What we do is we like to branch out to networks that we see are growing, TV stations, I should say, that we see are growing because they're usually not networks; they're individual syndicated TV stations that we distribute to. And 38 TV was very welcoming. I reached out to Paul and I said, I like what you're doing here, how you have different types of genres that you have for categories on how you play different programming on your TV channel, but then you also can stream it online and categorize it into science fiction or reality TV or anything like that. So Paul was very welcoming. He's like, "Yeah, I would love to. We have a sci-fi channel, and I would love to have your talk show on it." So it's pretty simple. That's kind of how it happened. And then Paul's like, "I'm looking over your episodes right now," and I'm like, "Well, I've got downloadable ones if you need them." He's like, "Actually, I can pull them from YouTube, as long as they're like really high quality." I said, "Yes, yes, they are
Yeah.
definitely high quality. We put a lot of work into them, Paul. So you can have them." We would love to be on 38 TV, but yeah, that's kind of how we got started, and we're on
Okay.
in 17 different states. Florida is our representation from 38 TV. I know it's in that region, Panhandle region, and all that. Uh, and we're on here in California on several different TV stations. We're on up in New York, all over the United States.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's when you started doing this, did you think you'd be where you are today already this quickly?
Honestly, no. Honestly, because now we're in pre-production in season 6, crossing over the ending with season 5, and uh, I know one thing I learned early on was you surround yourself with good, talented people, good, talented crew, good, talented cast like Lily, and you're going to go somewhere. And with the people that I kind of envisioned being the producers, writers, co-hosts, I mean, Lily was one of the first people that we brought on board. I was like, oh, I could see a future for this, but never in a million years did I think it would blossom into like a continued steady upward growth, upward mobility of just adding station after station and bringing in more fans and bringing in amazing people from the Star Trek universe. Like we got Michael and Denise Okuda coming up this season. Are you kidding me? Like they are the bread and butter behind everything visual on Star Trek, Next Generation and
Wow.
beyond. Well, actually, Star Trek 4 in 1986, the movie, and beyond, because that's when Michael Okuda came on board. So um, No, honestly, I didn't. That's, I guess, to kind of shorten it up. I'm maybe babbling here, but
Okay.
yeah, it's amazing. Like, what? Here we are.
And then speaking of them coming on board for that, when they came on board, there's a lot of responsibility there because you got to take it at the level where they are, where Star Trek is, and then you're wanting to add new concepts. So there's a lot of responsibility with that as well. So that's a tough assignment.
No, you're right. There is. It's Star Trek fans are the most particular group of fandom, I think that Lily and John would agree with me, that there are out there. And I'll
Right.
kind of hand it over to them to maybe kind of get their perspective. But just really quick, um, if you do something that is completely contrary to what Captain Kirk
Yeah.
did, you know, they're gonna call they're gonna call the writers and producers out on it. They're gonna be like, "Who wrote this episode?" You know, I'm looking at their IMDb page. They wrote sitcoms on CBS. Like, why are they writing this stuff? You know, there was a couple mishaps that happened in 2017, just a few times on Star Trek Discovery, which I still think overall is an amazing program, by the way. But with some of the writing, there were a few things that people had to call it out, even the continuity with the way the Klingons looked. And I'll just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah.
And there was course correction and everything ended up working out. But maybe Lily or John, you want to kind of chime in on that, like with Star Trek fans being very particular.
And that's
Yeah,
in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's because we care so much about these this world that we love. And I feel like fans just want things to be all in the same universe because whenever you make like a new universe, I feel like that's sort of a I don't want to say it's a cop out, but it's kind of like you couldn't fit your story into the universe that already exists that we already love. And so that feels like a little bit of a betrayal once you start doing things like that because we've already invested so much time into this world that we love, these devices, these people, these how the Federation works, just every detail. We pay attention, like we know we're watching these episodes over and over again. We see like little things about the Klingons and how their facial ridges are, and we don't like if you change it, you have to at least explain why
Yeah,
in
because
a
they'll call
plausible
you
way.
out like you said. Yeah. All right. And then John, what's your take on that?
Um, yeah, it's like any kind of fandom. It doesn't really matter what the genre is. Let's say you were a huge Frasier fan or something, and you watch an episode, a new episode, another show that has rebooted, and the characters are suddenly saying things that those characters would never
Let's,
say.
yeah.
And so that's where a lot of the uh, particularness comes from with Star Trek as well. If there are established rules in that universe, like any fictional universe, you have to kind of stick with those rules. And if you don't, like Lily said, then you have to have an explanation for it.
Right.
So fans are fans of any genre. They don't like it when there's a lazy writer or a production group that's decided we're going to take the show in a totally different direction. That's all fine and good if you kind of ease into those things. But when you do something like that, it is insulting. It's like you don't even know who that character is supposed to be. You've just in your head created somebody else. That's not that character. So yeah, we're protective of our people, our universe. And I think any fan would be. So
Right. Well,
Yeah.
you obviously go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say I also like I feel like we're I don't know, describing our fans as like so intense, but we're
yeah.
also just like the best because the type of world that we love is the one that's so accepting. So I feel like that's also kind of how the people are. Like it's a very loving community too. We just recently started interviewing guests on panels at like conventions. And I feel like seeing the fans come, the people who are interested in our panels are Star Trek fans, and they're they're awesome. So it's really, it comes with both. I guess the intensity is also in love.
True, yeah.
Yeah, I feel badly. I don't want the impression that, it's like a Saturday Night Live skit where the fans are, a little bit
No, no,
wacky,
that's,
and
yeah,
because it is a passion. And if you could use a theme for the show, I would say there's a Vulcan, Leonard Nimoy, Vulcan symbol that's introduced in the original series. And if there was a kind of a hallmark theme for the entire franchise, it would be that symbol. It is infinite diversity in infinite combinations.
right.
And so that's why people love it so much, because there's
True.
something for everyone, and the fans love it.
Well, obviously, you guys make a great team. You're doing something right to have the success that you've enjoyed, and then already planning for, season 6 pre-production. So that's amazing. So, and guys, thank you so much for being here. I think we could talk all day, but I have really enjoyed this because this has been the quickest 30 minutes ever. And
Wow.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to be with me today and to share your story and your vision and your passion, because it's obvious this is so real. So that's good.
Thank you so much, Rick, for having us. Yeah.
You're welcome. And then we're going to put your contact information up real quick. And that way, if someone wants to contact you to learn more about what you're doing, if we may have someone that would like to, you may want to interview that is connected somehow with all of this. So yeah, but thank you again for being with us today. And that concludes our episode of Lux Life Discovered. We will see you soon.
Check out Lux Life Discovered on Facebook and Instagram and on 30a.tv. See you next time on Lux Life Discovered.